Hello, everyone. Happy So What Day. I hope you're having a great start to your week. It is our last So What of February. How can this be? That means it's the last So What during National Embroidery Month. And so I think I have a fun project to kind of bring National Embroidery Month to a close. But as you know, here in Sulky Land, it's really National Embroidery Month every month because we celebrate embroidery every single day around here. So don't worry, there will be plenty of embroidery projects and embroidery content throughout the year. But, we do like to celebrate National Embroidery Month, of course. And you may remember in the beginning of the month, I brought you this really adorable project, which was these little cute bows on shoes. And we made these bows out of Sulky 12 weight cotton petites thread. So I am kind of piggybacking off of this cute little trend. And today we're going to be talking about micro embroideries on shoes. Now, of course, you can do micro embroideries on anything. And what is a micro embroidery, you might ask? It's really just what it says it is. It's a tiny little embroidery. And these are really trending on so many things in ready to wear. I haven't even really seen them on shoes per se, but little tiny embroideries on collar points, little tiny embroideries bordering a sleeve seam, little tiny embroideries along a sweatshirt collar or neckband. Really cute for, people of all ages. This is not something that's just done for children's wear. So cute. I'm seeing them on little beanies, little, knit hats, just a tiny little couple embroideries. So what I love about this is it's not intimidating, it's not daunting, because you're stitching something really small. It just gives it a little something, It's not something that's going to take you all day to sew out, because yes, we are doing these by hand. So never fear, I'm going to show you just how easy it is. Even though these embroideries are very small, you can apply these techniques to doing larger embroideries as well. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, though, I want to make sure everybody is aware of our next special event over at sewingonline.sulky.com. This is our Kitchen Stitchin' webcast in partnership with AccuQuilts. And if you're not familiar with AccuQuilt yet, I'm going to show you a couple of their products during this webcast. I'm going to show you how their fabric cutters can help streamline your sewing by cutting out things for appliques, for quilt blocks, for all sorts of things, including this mini oven mitt that you see here. All the pattern pieces for this oven mitt are cut using an oven mitt die that you run through the fabric cutter, and it cuts all the pieces that you need for the project in one fell swoop. So I'm going to show you how that works, but if you don't have a fabric cutter, I'm also going to show you how to construct these two projects that you see on your screen right now using traditional sewing methods. All right, so you can create them with or without a fabric cutter, but you might be persuaded to add one to your sewing room once you see how amazing they are and how they can benefit you, especially if you have arthritis. I have arthritis in my thumbs, and sometimes cutting is a little bit of a challenge for me. So it's really cool to have all of that done for you. Also, just for registering for the Kitchen Stitchin' webcast, you will get a free machine embroidery design from Sulky, and it happens to be this applique bird that you can see on this kitchen towel right here. So the applique bird is done entirely in the hoop of your embroidery machine. It's one embroidery design. It's pretty large scale, as you can see. Beautiful design. You can showcase whatever fabrics you want to for your bird. So the bird body is one fabric and the bird wing is another fabric. So the AccuQuilt die that's called birds, that includes 3 different bird shapes and I think 2 or 3 different wing shapes. So you can kind of mix and match those components. But for the machine embroidery design, you have to use the specific bird die and the specific wing die if you want to pre-cut your fabrics for this in the hoop embroidery. Now again, you don't have to have a fabric cutter to create this design. You can use traditional in the hoop applique methods to stitch this little guy out. So during the webcast, I'm going to show you both methods, using the cutter or not using the cutter, so you can create a really great kitchen towel and oven mitt set. And if you grab up the kit for this webcast, you will get these exact fabrics. You will get the kitchen towel blank in this pretty peach color that coordinates with the fabrics. You will also get some batting and some insulated batting for your oven mitt. You'll get soft and sheer stabilizer for your hooping for the towel. You'll also get some perfect applique fusible web, which we are going to apply to our little bird applique pieces, even though we're doing them in the hoop, and I'll show you the benefits of that during the event as well. Also, you will get 7 spools of sulky threads. Some of these go, well, all of them are in the embroidery design, and then you're also going to use one of these spools, the 50 weight cotton spool, to construct the oven mitt. So this kit includes everything that you need for the oven mitt and for the towel project. And beautiful springy new fabrics from Art Gallery Fabrics are included in this kit as well. I believe it's Art Gallery Fabrics. I work with so many different fabric companies. I hope I didn't get that one confused. So grab up a kit so you can have that. It's on sale for a special deal already leading up to our live webcast, which is March 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time over on sewingonline.sulky.com. So as long as you are registered, you can grab up that kitchen stitchin' bird machine embroidery design, and you will also get full access to watch this event in its entirety. If you cannot attend the live event, or if you need to leave early, all of our events become on-demand videos that you can watch anytime that's convenient for you once the live stream ends. So as long as you're registered, you will have full access to all of that and everything that we put on the event page for you, so you can learn more about the products being used. There's a Q&A box on the event page, so you can talk directly to us if you have any questions while you're working your way through the kit or the projects. It's just a really, really great platform, and I hope you will join us. That's what I meant to say. I think I got a little bit discombobulated because I was looking at some of the questions that have come in the live chat here. Noreen says, just put that kit in my cart. What else can I buy? All right, well, let's get to it, Noreen. All right. One more thing I want to discuss before we dive into the project today is our craft tours trip at the end of this year will be to Germany and Austria for the Christmas markets in both countries. We will also be enjoying a fabulous Sulky live class with yours truly. I will be doing a workshop while we are there to celebrate our travels and to, have an afternoon of crafting together. This is going to be an absolutely amazing trip, so be sure to check it out on our craft tours page. I link directly to it in the description of today's post, so you can click on over, get pricing, payment plans, all that kind of stuff, and look through the entire itinerary. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal tour. We're going to a little tiny Bavarian village where we get to create our own hand-blown glass ornament. There's just so many things packed into this tour, and I know you're going to love it. So join us in Germany and Austria. this Christmas season. It's going to be December 7th through 15th. It's a wonderful way to celebrate the holiday season. All right. Also, Noreen, you will want to, oops, wrong one. You will want to notice that we have an amazing sale happening right now at sulky.com. If you purchase $40 worth of 12-weight cotton petites thread, which I'm going to show you today, 12-weight filaine petites thread, or stick and stitch, any combination of these up to $40, you will get a free magnetic needle minder as a free gift for only spending $40 on these items. So if you're unfamiliar with what a needle minder is, we have a ton of these on our site and they are so adorable. So a needle minder is a little decorative magnet, okay? So on the back of this little guy is a magnet. When you're stitching in hand or stitching something in the hoop, hand sewing, and you need to leave your project because I don't know about you, but I almost never can finish a handwork project in one sitting. Even if I do, I have to stop to take some breaks. So when you need to stop, sometimes people will just put their needle in a portion of the fabric that's kind of away from the design, but that can harm your fabric sometimes. We don't want to create a hole somewhere, right? So enter the needle minder to solve that problem for you. You put the front on the front of your work and the magnet behind it, whether it's in the hoop or you're stitching in hand. And then when you need to take a break, you put your threaded needle. You could be in the middle of a stitch if you need to be. Put your needle on the magnet and walk away. Come back and you can start stitching again. So not only is it convenient, helping you solve that problem of, needing to stop mid-stitch or mid-design, but they also come in the most adorable little motifs. We have a sewing machine. We have this cute little bunny, which is perfect for spring. We have this cute little sheep. Love it. There are tons more on the site for different holidays. We have little cottages, little shaped little houses. One is a flower shop, a quilt shop, a barn. So there's something for everyone in the needle minder department. And all you have to do today is buy $40 worth of 12-weight cotton petites thread, 12-weight filaine petites thread, or sulky stick and stitch, any combination of that. Just buy $40 worth and you'll get a free magnetic needle minder. We also have 40% off right now some of our digital embroidery designs, so you can check those out at sulky.com. All right, so I mentioned that we started off National Embroidery Month with some very cute little embroidered shoes. Now, I will say my daughter wears these almost every single day. She would wear them every day if we didn't have snow and slush and all of that going on intermittently throughout the month of February. But she loves these, so I know I've gotten the seal of approval from a moody tween, okay? And that means a lot, right? So these are cute 3D bows on shoes, and if you missed that So What episode, you can find that and any of our previous episodes on our YouTube channel. There's a So What channel, or playlist rather, on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. So it really got me thinking about other embroideries to do on shoes. And I have seen this little micro-embroidery trend. I didn't know it had a name. I just saw, little embroideries being placed on things. As I mentioned, collar points along sleeve seams, very, very cute to do something asymmetrical as well. And it doesn't take a load of time to add a little something personal to a sweatshirt or a little knit hat or a pair of gloves, put a little heart or something like that. That's a little micro embroidery. So I thought it would be adorable to embroider some shoes, kind of come full circle with our month of February, start off with some shoes, end with some shoes done in a little bit different way. So you don't have to do micro embroidery on shoes. Again, you can do it on just about anything. It would be really cute actually on the top that I'm wearing. to maybe do some micro embroideries along some of these little channels of the shirt. So cute, so easy, and such a great way to personalize something and make it your own. All right, so first things first, we need to gather up our supplies. When you're looking for shoes, this is a little pair of kid shoes that I found at Target actually a couple years ago because I knew I would do something with them. They used to be one of my daughter's favorite shoes. So I bought like 3 pair of them in different sizes because she just wanted to wear them until they died. So I happen to have an extra pair in a size that she grew out of and never wore because I had the foresight to buy so many pairs. Anyway, they are perfect for embroidery because they are made of a really nice, sort of like a canvas knit. Is that a thing? It might be a canvas backed knit. So super comfortable to wear. They're a really cute little pink color. So these are a kid shoe, but you could certainly do these on an adult shoe. So when you're deciding kind of where you want to put your micro embroideries, very important to make sure you can access the area easily with your needle and thread. If you like using a long needle when you're doing hand embroidery, take that into account so that you're not nicking the inside of the shoe every time you go to make a stitch. You might want to just position something on the little side portion of the shoe, right? Like kind of where I had the bows, the thread bows. Or maybe even center it along the back of the shoe. All right, so we'll get to placement in just a moment. So important to kind of think about that when you are either buying the shoe that you're going to embroider, or this would be a great thing to put on a shoe that maybe has a stain on it, a little dot of something on it that you can't get out. Add a little cute little embroidered flower right over that little stain. Maybe put another cluster or another flower, equidistant on the other side of the shoe so it looks intentional. And then you have, breathed new life into these shoes that would otherwise be destined for, donating or, something of this nature because you can't get rid of that stain. All right, I will get to preserving the design and all of that a little bit later as well. So just things to think about. Obviously, you want your shoe to be made out of something that you can get the needle through. So a canvas shoe, a cotton shoe like Converse or Keds, or something like this, like a slip-on or an espadrille that's made out of a fabric that you will be able to embroider. We're also going to use Sulky Stick and Stitch Stabilizer to transfer the designs that we want onto our shoe. So this is a water-soluble, basically transfer sticker that we're creating. So to remove it, we rinse it completely under warm running water. So you also need to make sure that your shoe will be able to withstand the water removal. All right? So keep these things in mind. And this happens to be our giveaway today for one lucky viewer who is watching, commenting, giving me those great emojis, somehow engaging with the post today. That's all you have to do to be automatically eligible to win a pack of Stick and Stitch Stabilizer from Sulky. That's right. So these water-soluble, sticky-backed stabilizer sheets are made so they can go through your home printer. So you'll want to set your printer for the lowest ink setting. Sometimes it's called the draft setting. If you don't have that option, I know some newer printers don't offer that option. It's completely fine. We just want to make sure you're not oversaturating the product with ink because you really just need it dark enough so that you can see it. We don't want to put a ton of ink into the stick and stitch. If that happens, you do want to just set it aside and just let it dry. Let the ink absorb into the product fully before you go to use it. Because what's going to happen if you don't do that is the ink could transfer to your hands, the ink could transfer to the fabric that you're embroidering, and then you probably have permanent printer ink on your shoes or what have you. It can make a mess. So just make sure it's fully dried. Just after it prints out, let it sit on your printer dock for a little while before you go grab it. That's probably all you need to make sure it's nice and dry and ready for creating. All right, so stick and stitch stabilizer. You need a pack of that. And remember, if you grab a pack of that, some thread, like the 12 weight cotton petites I'm going to talk about, and you purchase $40 worth of these products, you'll get that free needle minder. And yes, someone asked if it's a random needle minder that they will get. Yes. Sorry, you don't get to choose your freebie, I don't think. But I guarantee you will love it. All right, so cotton petites thread. This is what we're going to use for our embroidery. And you can see you get great coverage with that cotton petites thread. People don't always think about using thread for hand embroidery. Our mind just kind of goes immediately to using floss. Well, let me just tell you, floss is super annoying to use. It comes on those skeins. We have to separate the strands of floss based on the pattern that we're using, whether we're using 1 strand, 2 strands, 4 strands, right? Then we have to separate those, create a length, thread our needle, and inevitably we get a knot in the skein from separating the floss. I know a lot of people who they'll purchase up a skein of floss and then wind it on something else, even like a spool, because it makes it easier to handle. Well, I'm telling you what, no need to do any of that. You can just purchase up a spool, already on the spool, of Sulky 12 weight cotton petites thread. See how thick that thread is? 1 strand of this thread equals 2 strands of your traditional embroidery floss. So you're getting greater coverage with just 1 strand. And if you choose to use 2 strands, like for these flowers, I use 2 strands because I'm doing fill stitches, right? And so when I use 2 strands, I can fill the area much quicker because I'm getting 2 strands for the price of 1, kind of, sort of, I guess. All right, so 2 strands or 1 strand. 2 strands, of course, would then be 4 strands of traditional embroidery floss. All right. If you're working on a pattern that specifically says you need 3 strands of floss, you can also combine the 12 weight cotton with our 30 weight cotton, which is lighter weight. So the higher the number, the lighter the thread weight is. You can combine the 12 weight with a 30 weight strand, and you'll get kind of sorta around that 3 strand requirement that you need for the intended pattern. But for something like this, for these micro embroideries, we're kind of creating our own pattern, right? Now, if you don't want to create your own pattern, you can certainly use the one that I created for this project. This is what it looks like. Now, you might be thinking, well, these aren't even that small, right? Well, you can size this up or down a little ways if you would like to. If you want to create super, super small flowers, I'll show you what I did. You see there's one motif where there's like 4 flowers on a little chunk of grass or land, right? So I cut out those little tiny flowers, and I'm going to use those, just the flower outline, for some additional little embellishments on one of my shoes. So you can mix and match here. You can use the little flower pots and cluster some other flowers over it. You can use the flowers that have stems, put them together in one of the flower pots. All kinds of things you can do with this template. Where do you get it? From the Sulky blog. I link directly to the blog post in the description of today's post, so you can head on over and download this PDF for free. So you will download this, print it onto a sheet of Sulky Stick and Stitch, which is what I have here. This is my stick and stitch, all right? So we've got a fabric-like side that has our sticky backing on it, and then we have our paper side. Make sure you have put this into your printer so that it will print on the fabric-like side, not on the paper side that we're going to throw away once we've created our sticker. All right. So you will decide the motif that you want and cut it out from your big sheet of micro embroideries. All right. I chose this cute little cluster of 4 flowers because I wanted it to go sort of on the toe area of the shoe. So here's where it does become pretty important when you're deciding where you want the design. So I didn't really think to myself, oh, it might be kind of hard to get my hand under the shoe to do this embroidery in this area. But I will say it was quite challenging because it's so narrow in here. I did have quite the challenge for myself creating all of these satin stitches that made up the flowers. So to make things easier on yourself, try embroidering along the side. I mean, this is even framed out and kind of perfect for some embroidery. So I wish I would have thought of that ahead of time, but I was just really had this in my head and I had to do it here. Also, this area of the shoe, if you have a slip-on, really cute place for embroidery, or again, back here, would have been so much easier for me to access that area to embroider it. All right, so think about those things when you decide where you want to place your embroideries. Also, the great thing about stick and stitch is you can remove it and place it somewhere else. You don't like it there? Remove it, place it somewhere else. So you can sort of start by auditioning it on the shoe, right? I was just really stuck in this placement. Then you'll remove that paper backing and now you have your transfer sticker. Then you can place your sticker where you want it and decide, is that really where I want it or should I place it somewhere else? So at this point, maybe you have something stuck in your head like I did, but I encourage you to try some other things. Sorry, I've got an iron right in front of me and I don't want it to burn me. So the cord just kind of came loose. Okay, there we go. So I encourage you to try some different placements. Remove the sticker, put it somewhere else. Remove the sticker, put it somewhere else. Have whoever is going to wear this try on the shoe with the sticker on it, and then make sure you really, really want it there. It's visible, you can see it, and you like the look of that. All right. So once you have your transfer sticker where you want it, it's time to start stitching. As I mentioned, I used 2 strands of the 12-weight cotton petites thread. And to avoid having to have my needle inside the shoe and outside the shoe, I also tried to embroider it this way so that my needle's going in and coming out, and then I didn't have to reach my hand in the shoe and pull that needle through. There were times where I still had to do that, just in the little smaller areas of the flowers, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be when I started stitching. And once I started, there was kind of no turning back, because with this particular fabric, it was kind of like when I made a needle hole, that hole was going to be permanent. So I had to go with it, at that point. You might have a more forgiving shoe depending on what your shoe is made out of, but really experiment with that placement of the sticker, so that you know you're going to be able to, complete the job, without hurting yourself inside of the shoe there. All right, so I started with my purple thread color. I have 2 purple flowers, 2 blue flowers, and then I have all the yellow centers as well. I did a simple satin stitch. The great thing about these tiny embroideries is that you don't have to spend all day doing fill stitches. A lot of the times, to be quite honest, I will choose different stitches because if a certain, area of my embroidery needs a lot of fill, I just think to myself, it's going to be so dense and the fill stitches are going to take me, a week to complete. Well, this took me like 20 minutes. That's because it's so small. All right. Just, for those fill stitches for the center of the flowers. All right. Once you get everything filled in, or you could just do an outline stitch, and I'll show you that too. It looks just as cute. Now we need to remove our stabilizer. I also want to mention you want to make sure all of your threads, if you're doing satin stitches especially, are tied off on the shoe wrong side. Now, if you have a more accessible area of your shoe, you can weave the thread tails in on the back side of your embroidery to secure them. But I could not access that area because of where I put it. So I clipped my threads, knotted them really tightly and close. Then I'm going to show you a little later how I conceal all that thread work so that when you go and put your shoe in and out to wear it, you're not catching your foot or your toe or whatever onto the back of those stitches, which can loosen them up over time. Also, it would be quite uncomfortable to have that thread work on the top of your toes or the side of your ankle or wherever you're putting it. So I'm going to show you how to overcome that as well with some really great Sulky products. All right, so once we have the embroidery complete, we need to remove the stabilizer. This is how easy it is. Best transfer method of designs there is that exists. So now we're going to take our shoe, we're going to run it under some warm running water. Important that the water is running and we're not submerging the shoe in a sink full of water. What can happen when you submerge it into the water and let the stabilizer kind of slowly dissolve and work its way out of the fibers or work its way away from the thread work? What can happen is maybe a chunk of stabilizer kind of loosens up and floats over a different area of the shoe and then transfers to it, meaning it turns over or something like this happens in the bath of water, and then you transfer your printer ink to another area of your shoe. Absolutely tragic. All right, so to avoid that, we're going to rinse this away under running water until all the stabilizer kind of sloughs off and dissolves into the water. Doesn't take any time at all. All right, so I do see someone is saying, I'm a hand quilter. Hi, Joan. And I envision bent needles. Okay, so this was another thing I thought of after the fact. Upholstery needles would have been perfect for this because they are circular. So you could get your circular needle in here and hand embroider these areas that are harder to reach from the inside of the shoe. So that was something I thought of course, after the fact, after I'd already done it. So you might have success with that. Let's say you have a little stain or a hole in your shoe that you're trying to cover up and it's in a difficult area to access. Try an upholstery needle and thread it with 1 or 2 strands of thread and try to get it in the shoe that way. And then, it'll come right out the top of the shoe and you'll probably have greater success with that. Or just choose a smaller needle and maybe even protect your hand with some kind of glove while you're doing the embroidery so you don't poke yourself during the process. All right, so after all of our stabilizer is removed, it's as simple as that. You just need to let your shoe dry. I let mine dry overnight, and I mean, how cute are these? I'm so sad that my daughter has grown way out of this size because I don't have anyone here to model this adorableness. Is adorableness a word? It should be. Okay, so now the fun begins because you get to embroider the other shoe. So of course you can do the same design, maybe mirror image it so that, it looks symmetrical or it looks like the mirror image for your left and right shoe. But the fun thing about creating a pair is that you can do something totally different, add some different flowers in different places on the companion shoe, and tie the look together by using the same thread colors that you just used. So for the companion shoe, I decided to experiment and do a little outline stitch. How cute. So you can see you don't have to fill your micro embroideries with fill stitches. Look how cute it is with just a simple back stitch. You can also weave thread through the back stitch for a more prominent outline, and then you won't have the look of stitches really. It'll look more sort of uniform for your outline. So this flower is also one of the flowers on that template. So cute on this little area of the shoe. So if I am thinking, it's a little bit plain compared to its sister maybe, I can add some other little micro embroideries around it. So I've got my little flowers that I cut off of one of the other micro embroidery designs. And you can see I'm just going to remove the paper backing. So now I have my little sticker transfer sheet. And let's say I want to put this little flower right here on the shoe. I just stick it down, and now I can sew that little outline stitch of that flower. So I'll have one here and then some smaller ones along the side. Maybe I want to move this a little bit. I didn't have it centered kind of perfectly along those seams. So see, you can move it a couple of times because it's just a little sticker. Now I have another little micro embroidery. I can remove the paper backing of this guy. And maybe I want one down here as well. So I have two along the side, and then maybe I just do one over here on this side. So I'll remove the backing of my little sticker and then place this little guy maybe right in the center. So now you can see it kind of coming together with a cohesive look. So cute. And I can simply do my outline stitches, rinse that away, and I have two companion shoes that are different but totally coordinate with each other. I mean, I just think this is the cutest thing. So again, for adult shoes, you can choose some Converse. You could maybe do some flowers or some leaves coming out of the logo on the shoe, or maybe coming off of a little eyelet of the shoelace. There are just so many different ideas for creating completely customizable shoes. So here's the little process of my companion shoe. I just did a simple back stitch for the stitches of this one. If you have a favorite stitch, or you like doing stem stitch, or you want to do some blanket stitches, maybe you even blanket stitch on the inside of the shoe seam, and you don't even do a design, but you just add a little bit of blanket stitch detailing, maybe even with a 12 weight cotton petites blendables thread, so that you're creating like this watercolor effect, adding a little bit of color to the shoe, or again, hiding a stain or something like this, some kind of imperfection on the shoe. So it was as simple as that. I mean, this one maybe took me 10 minutes, and then I just rinsed it away and the shoe was embellished. Great way to make this a special gift for someone, especially little ones. They just love little personalizations like that. And if they have the same shoes as one of their girlfriends or something like this, this is a way to kind of make it their own. Maybe even put a little initial on the back of the shoe. So, so sweet. Love that. All right. So while we're talking about shoes, well, actually, before I get to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, Marilyn says, have you ever made your own shoelaces with cotton fabric? I personally have not, but I'm seeing this everywhere. I'm seeing people actually make their own shoes and make the shoelaces, and it's such a cute way to further personalize shoes as well. So maybe you have a pair of Converse and you create your own fabric laces, then you do your embroidery to coordinate. So cute. Love it. Such a great little statement piece. All right, let me make sure where to get the template. All right, Michelle. So the template is available as a downloadable PDF on our Sulky blog. So I linked directly to our blog post for this project for the micro embroideries on shoes. You'll head on over to that blog post, and within the post, there will be a supply list, and you can just click on the embroidery template. It'll start downloading to your computer, and then you can print it out onto a sheet of Sulky Stick and Stitch. And don't forget, if you purchase up $40 worth of Stick and Stitch, 12-weight cotton petites or 12-weight filaine petites, any combination of those products, $40 worth will get you a free magnetic needle minder. So cute. Love those. All right. Thank you for the questions. Let's see. Oh, Linda has the cutest idea. Create little honeybees going from one shoe over to the other. So cute. Love that. All right. Cute and easier to put on the top of the shoe or than the top of the shoe. Yes. Oh, I know. And yes, thank you about those circular needles. That is a good idea. Just making sure that I'm answering all the questions as they come in. Might work on a jean jacket on the back yoke. Absolutely. Would look so cute on a jean jacket. Do little tiny little clusters of flowers just here and there. Or if you have like a button-down shirt with a pocket, you could do it along the pocket upper edge. You don't have to do these gigantic statement piece embroideries all the time. You know, just add a little something here or there. You know, I went to the thrift store and got a really, really cute top for one of my children for an event that they were doing. They needed a black t-shirt and it needed to be like this, you know, couldn't have this here, whatever. Well, the black t-shirt I found had a pocket and there was a little, like logo patch almost on the pocket. Well, I couldn't have that, it had to be all black. So we just embroidered 2 little black hearts over the top of the little logo, you know, the offending thing on the pocket. And now we've covered it up. You couldn't really see the black hearts, you know, if you were far enough away, and it fit the bill. And now she wears it all the time, not just for that special event, because it has this little cute embellishment that makes it hers. All right. And yes, everyone talking about curved needles. Love it. Great idea to try on the shoe first. All right. So Harriet is saying, could you use sticky solvy if you already have it? Okay, so if you're talking about sticky Fabra solvy, if you have sticky Fabra solvy sheets, they are actually exactly the same as Stick and Stitch. So this is a sheet of sticky Fabra solvy, not printed, of course. It has the paper backing on it. It has the fabric-like stabilizer on this side. It's 8.5 by 11, so fits in your home printer. Exactly the same as the Stick and Stitch stabilizer sheets. The only thing that's different between them is the name. So Sticky Fabra solvy is available by the bolt and in rolls for machine embroidery. So when we brought this to hand sewing and decided that it was the best embroidery transfer out there, we called it Stick and Stitch. So yes, if you have Sticky Fabra solvy, you have the right thing, and you can use that for these micro embroideries. Absolutely. All right, so, Sheila says, micro embroidery would be great for hiding moth holes on sweaters. Absolutely. Just a little something. You know, I would say, let's say you have a hole right here. It's in a weird spot, maybe on your shoulder. I would do an embroidery there, and then maybe I'd put one here. I'd put one here. So it looks intentional. You know, you don't just have like this random flower embroidered on a weird spot on your sleeve. That's a way you can kind of tie the look together. Love that. All right, so I also want to talk about finishing the shoe, because after I did all this embroidery, I have a lot of stitching on the underside of my shoe. And I knew, especially little feet, you put your foot in there and then you've got some scratchy stitches on the backside that are now on top of your toes or on top of your foot or on the side of your foot, wherever you've put the embroidery. And over time, putting your foot in and out of here, in and out of here, you don't want to snag the backside of your stitching when you are using the shoe. Same goes for if you put this on a pocket or if you put this somewhere on a wearable that's going to touch your skin. Not only do we want to protect our skin from that scratchy embroidery, but we also want to preserve the back of the stitching. We want to kind of seal it up. So I tried a few different things, and I'll tell you what my favorite products are or methods are. So for this particular embroidery, I took a piece of Sulky Tender Touch Stabilizer. Tender Touch Stabilizer is a permanent fusible stabilizer that has a really nice silky feel to it. Very, very lightweight. You can use it on just about any type of fabric. I cut a little piece of it slightly bigger than my design, and I turned my shoe over and I put it in here, making sure that it was covering all of those stitches. And then I thought to myself, how am I going to fuse this in place? Well, this is getting really, really hot, but let me see. Enter my small craft iron. So perfect, especially for the place where I put this design, right? How are you going to get in there and fuse it in place? Because you cannot really fuse it from the right side. Hopefully I didn't just ruin the shoe by doing that. This gets really hot, so make sure it's on low and not high, which is what I just had mine on, because I almost scorched my beautiful shoe. All right, so perfect little shape to get in here. So I turned my shoe upside down, and yes, I had to use like a massive flashlight for this, and put this in here and fuse down the stabilizer. Now it is permanently covering, and I've already done this one, so it's in there. Can't really see it, unfortunately, but fused that in place, and now the back of my embroidery is completely sealed up, and it feels nice and silky in there, so when you go to use the shoe, it's not going to bother you. All right, so that's the tender touch method. Now, I wanted to also experiment with Sulky Stitch and Seal. Stitch and Seal is another type of embroidery backing that you would put on after your embroidery is complete. So while it is called a stabilizer, it's actually applied after the embellishment. So Stitch and Seal is a waterproof fusible stabilizer. All right. So I thought with a shoe, now that we've created all these needle holes, right? We've kind of opened up the fabric, letting whatever we want to into the shoe. So depending on the shoe fabric that you've embroidered, these types of things, you might want to consider Sulky Stitch and Seal. So Stitch and Seal, I've cut a small little patch of it. I use pinking shears and I use pinking shears with the tender touch as well, because for some reason, just having this little edge like this helps it adhere a little bit better. And when your foot's going in and out of the shoe, you really want to make sure that the edges are fused nicely around the design. So pinking shears helps you get that. Also with Stitch and Seal, another reason for a headlamp, one side of the Stitch and Seal is shiny. The other side is dull. And this is a pretty thick little stabilizer, you see? So you want to make sure the shiny side is against the fabric wrong side. That's the fusible side. So we don't want to have shiny side facing out. Then we go to touch it with our little craft iron, and now the thing is scorched. It's melted all over the place. All right, we don't want that. So shiny side against the back of the embroidery. So I've cut this perfectly to size, just making doubly sure that I've got my shiny side. I'm just going to place this right over the back of the embroidery. There we go. And we're going to use our craft iron and just fuse that in place. And again, these irons get really hot, but our stabilizer, our fusible stabilizer, you don't want to use too hot of an iron. So that's why I'm kind of tapping the iron over it instead of letting it sort of sit there for a long period of time. So it's working its magic, getting the edges fused. And you can also use a press cloth over the back side of your embroidery, over the top of the stabilizer, to make sure nothing scorches, or, you know, if the fusible shifts or one of the edges gets caught up, you just want to make sure that you don't touch that to your cute little craft iron. All right, I think it's just about fused. So hopefully I'll be able to show you this without burning myself. All right, can you see in there how now my embroidery has this kind of coating over the top? So now my stabilizer is in place and I can wear the shoe and it's not going to bother me. It has a nice sort of silky feel to it on the inside. And all my stitches are nice and sealed up as well. All right. So that's how we want to finish the shoe. That's our last final finishing touch. And, you know, you would really only use stitch and seal for a wearable if you were doing embroidery on like a raincoat or, you know, some kind of waterproof type fabric. That's when you would use the stitch and seal. You do need to make sure that the lining or the wrong side of the garment or the wearable can withstand that little bit of heat from the iron. You don't have to use a craft iron, obviously. If you are able to access that area with your regular iron, definitely do that. It's just, this was so perfect to put in that shoe. And I'm kind of always looking for ways to use this little guy because I have it and it works for so many little niche things. You know what I mean? It just kind of comes in handy when you have something little like this. Okay, let me just make sure I'm pinning the cord out of the way of all my other cords today so that this doesn't fall on the floor and cause a problem. So safety first, everyone. Safety first. Let me just get this situated. Okay. All right, let me make sure that I have addressed the, yes, shiny equals glue. Make sure you are putting shiny side against your embroidery. Yeah, so if you are doing this on a garment or a different project, maybe a little, you know, tote bag or something, maybe a little handle of something, maybe a little keychain, key ring or something that you're creating out of fabric, then you can use the tender touch, okay, for sealing the back of your embroidery. But if you're doing something like a lunch bag, maybe it has waterproofing properties. Maybe you want to do this on the little ends of an umbrella. So cute. A little bit of stitch and seal behind that between the outer and inner umbrella fabrics just seals that up so that when you go to use your umbrella, it's not raining through your embroidery. All right, so really cool product. If you haven't heard of it, stitch and seal. All right, Denise says, I love those little irons. I know, it's just one of those things that, like, get one, put it in a drawer. You're gonna need it for something. It has a great little point to it too, so you can get into little collar points. Really, really nice. And again, now I've lifted it up and I have to secure it out of the way. Okay, perfect. Okay. On the pinking shears, do you use them on tender touch or soften shear? I use them on tender touch. I may have misspoke. I use them on Tender Touch to get that nice bond. I use it on the Stitch and Seal as well. You don't necessarily need it on soft and sheer. I guess it would depend on what you're fusing your soft and sheer to, or how you're using it. But as these backings for embroidery, that's when I use the pinking shears to make sure you get a nice bond around the edge of your sort of patch that you're putting behind the embroidery. All right. Yes, you can cut soft and sheer with pinking shears, but you wouldn't necessarily need to unless you're using soft and sheer as a embroidery, covering, the way that we're using the Stitch and Seal or the Tender Touch. All right. Linda, good time to use a head flashlight. I know I need a headlamp in here. It's really funny how the hardware store has a whole bunch of things that make our sewing lives easier as well. That's not the first time I've needed a headlamp. All right, perfect. Oh, Dinah. Hey, girl. She says, I have some tea towels with wear spots. This is a great idea. Yeah, if you've got a little snag or a hole or even on something that you've embroidered before, it's a great way to just get more life out of those items. Add a little micro embroidery, so cute. All right. These are great ideas. Thank you so much. All right. So again, make sure to take advantage of our buy 40 sale right now. All you have to do is spend $40 on any combination of 12-weight cotton petites thread, Filaine petites thread, or Sulky Stick and Stitch, and you will get a free magnetic needle minder. Also, we've got 40% off some of our digital embroidery designs, so check those out over at sulky.com as well. And make sure that you are registered for our Kitchen Stitchin' Webcast. Speaking of kitchen towels, we're going to be creating this really cute machine embroidered little birdie towel with or without trim on it. We're also going to create one of these mini oven mitts, all using an AccuQuilt fabric cutter. But don't worry if you don't have a fabric cutter. I'm going to show you how to make these without that great little tool. But you can kind of see how it works and see if it might be right for you. So make sure that you are registered for Kitchen Stitchin' happening on March 11th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Once you're registered, you will get a reminder email right before we're going live. And you can add it to your calendar so that you get a reminder as well. If you can't join us live, be sure to register so that you can get your free embroidery design, which is this little Kitchen Stitchin' applique in the hoop design. And yeah, then you can join us in a couple of weeks for this great webcast and learn how to put all these together and watch the fabric cutter in action. All right, Colleen, you're so funny. Love your hand embroidery projects. I will master it someday. Yes, you will. Just take some practice. And what better way to practice than with some micro embroideries? You don't have to go big to make a statement. All right. Thanks for